Huawei isn't well known for having competitive smartphones gracing the top tier. However, the SIII D1 Quad comes beckoning some sporty features and a better build quality that cements a foothold for future success against the best smartphones on offer and leads the Chinese assault on the current mobile market. Let's take a look. On first appearances, I'm unfortunately drawn to the metallic red highlights for the speaker grills and camera border. I can't say they add anything at all. I understand that it reflects the color theme of Huawei's logo, but I don't care for it. It hasn't grown on me, but mind you, I wouldn't say it bothers me anymore. Fortunately, there are pure black and white variants that look far more appeasing. If you are familiar with the Samsung Galaxy Nexus, then you will be familiar with the SIII D1 Quad's rear casing. There are distinct comparisons that can be made. The SIII D1 Quad is less rounded at the top and bottom of the device, taking more of an iPhone shape, but the rear panel bows out at the base housing the speaker, and the camera protrudes slightly in the upper middle. The case choice is quite nice. The rear panel is a soft touch rubbery feel that is removable and feels of a high quality plastic. While the SIM card tray and micro SD card slot are accessible here, the battery is actually sealed deeper within and not exchangeable. The case clips back in very smoothly and distinctly. The right hand side holds the volume rocker and the power/unlock button at the top right hand side, with the headphone jack pushed to the left and the micro USB charging port at the top left hand side of the device. The rest of the sides are clean and trimmed with a sleek glossy plastic that gave it a contrasting textural element that works well. The top and bottoms of the front face are lipped with a small slope, but the front glass panel is simple and dark. There are capacitive buttons that do light up slightly when turned on, but I did feel that that element was a little dull. But I am glad that Huawei shifted the back button to the left hand side where it feels logical. There is a notification light next to the 1.3 megapixel front facing camera to top off its looks, and while the design as a whole isn't that original, the elements are cohesive and robust, and the size caters nicely to the average size hand, which makes for a winning design. But it's the filled out spec sheet that is set to impress for the $420 Australian price tag. While NFC and the newer Bluetooth 4.0 and LTE data speeds were left out, respectable HSDPA plus speeds, Huawei's in-house 1.5 GHz quad-core processor and 1 GB of RAM are positioned well to drive a reasonably fluid experience. On benchmarks, I'll note it falls very close to the HTC One X Plus and runs circles around the Galaxy S2. In practice, I found app performance and load times adequate, but never blisteringly fast. There were regular staggered load times for the home screens after being embedded into an app for a long period of time. However, downloading large files did little to mar its performance. Of great importance was gaming, which was delivered with brilliant quality thanks to a 16-core GPU. Frame rates and accuracy of motion controls was superb. Call quality was some of the best around, with consistently better reception than other devices, and background noise was effectively eliminated. It is powered by an 1800 mAh battery that I found to easily handle a day plus and approximately 6 hours of continuous HD playback. This is nothing compared to the SIII D1 Quad XL that adds additional thickness to this exact phone to make way for the 2600 mAh battery. I personally would stick with the Quad, as I found the battery life better than most and still with a sleek thinness. The SIII D1 Quad ships with the 8GB of internal storage, but is expandable by an additional 32GB. The winner for me is the 4.5-inch 720 by 1280 pixel display that puts it in the realms of the Retina display at 326 ppi, but with a significantly larger space to work with. It is a super IPS LCD that is striking with excellent whites and brightness, very true color, and of course, fantastic resolution. One drawback for me is running Android Ice Cream Sandwich when I'm looking to running Jelly Bean on all the latest quad-core smartphones. But it's Huawei's take on Ice Cream Sandwich that ticks a few boxes. While the lock screen is simply a 4-way option circle that a swipe right will always unlock, but the 3 other options are up for grabs for any application. I made mine a quick launch into my social media accounts. Once unlocked, you are brought to the home screens. There are 2 options for the home screens that I really enjoyed, but I was more drawn to one option than another. It was nice to change up the view from time to time though. The first is 3D Home, is the more heavily skinned of the two, with thick 3D animations, transitions and application icons. Icons actually have 2 modes, so you can change up the look even further if you wanted. This tended to make the phone perform more sluggishly and was its main detractor. It is far more cartoony and animated than normal Android and significantly changes up the way you edit and manage the home pages. This aspect I really didn't like. I also hated how it applied a transparent-esque box to all the app icons, forcing a defined space to occupy on screen. The 3D widgets are pretty cool when you slow down a swipe, but honestly, you won't notice them when you're generally flicking through. I personally opted for 2D Home, not because I'm old school in any way, but because it's basically raw Android top to bottom. It works exactly as Android was intended, uses a lot of the same apps and icons, and was fast and fluid. I mean, don't think you can't change up its looks, because you do have choices for app icons here as well. The level of customization of the look of this device without having to apply custom ROMs or widgets to simulate skinned Android versions is a generous feature. In terms of in-house applications, Huawei included a handful of neat additions that aren't trying to be standouts but useful and welcomed. Its keyboard is neat, quick inclusion of emoticons and a fairly accurate touch. It can be swiped aside for some old-fashioned goodness, and its spell checker is pretty accurate, but I found word prediction to be lousy, so learn how to spell and save some time. The video and music experience is delivered brilliantly on the Ascend D1 Quad. Picture quality is excellent while not being as saturated and vibrant as other displays on the market, but the colours are true. It is the rear speaker that I was mesmerised by. It comes with Dolby Mobile, which when turned on seems to give extra volume and distinct prominence to sound effects and voices that makes for a TV-like experience, or you can simply push it across to the TV with excellent DLNA integration. Browser speed was a little average, but panning and zooming was very quick and accurate. The camera was a bit of a non-event. At 8 megapixels, it is very standard, did enough to accomplish decent photos in the right condition, but not enough to stand apart in the top tier. The autofocus is fairly accurate and the lens will give a nice depth of field. The software it runs is nice. The options can be pulled out from the top of the device and this is fixed. Included is some funny facial distortion similar to what LG offers, some scene effects and group shot option that basically just takes 5 photos quickly to choose one where most people are smiling. Looking back at this review, it kind of seems all too glowing for a smartphone from a brand that isn't one of the major well-knowns in the high-end mobile market, but honestly, for where it falls price-wise, Huawei's Ascend D1 Quad did so much to impress and came with an excellent feature set that surpassed my expectations when I factor in its competitive cost. A screen that is on par with the leaders, quad-core processor of similar ability to the likes of the Galaxy S3 and 1X Plus, an excellent customizable software suite and a solid build quality. Sure, there are bits and pieces missing that I will expect out of the next iteration, but this is a solid crack at a top tier device and a space to watch in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been Kurt from KABOOtech. Thanks for watching.